Alright, y'all, so it is Saturday right now, and in my last video I had someone comment and they said that they heard a lot of like clunking and a lot of front end noise, and he was like, is that like a bushing or something? And I was like, I don't know, I don't think so. And I was like, I'm pretty sure it's just the coilovers. But then I got in the car and drove it again after that, like down a bumpy road, and it was like really clunky on both front ends, like both the left and the right. And so I got in it, and then when I came to a stop and I was like turning it to the right and the left, it was like popping and clunking, and I'm like, So I'm thinking maybe my end links are just loose. So what I'm gonna do is tighten the end links and then drive it again and see what's up. And then if that doesn't help it, I'm gonna take the sway bar out altogether and then run it again and see if it's still making that sound, and then that way I can just eliminate that it's just a bushing from the sway bar or a sway bar end link, you know? At that point, I really don't know. It could either be like tie rods or I'm hoping not the rack, but so we'll see what's up. It definitely dries, so I think even if it's making some weird noise like that, I'm still gonna send it at the event. That'll just have to be something for next time, but I mean, I definitely am gonna get tie rods anyway. Just some like extended tie rods so I can get some extra angle. And then what I think I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna take out my power steering reservoir, and I have like a really nice reservoir in the garage, so I think I'm just gonna swap it out, and I think there just might be a bad line from the reservoir right there. And I'm gonna swap those out and fill it back up and see if I see any leaks. The power steering is not totally gone right now like I thought it would be, but it's definitely heavier, and I think it's low. I keep putting some power steering in every day, but it's definitely eating it and it's definitely losing it. So that's all I'm gonna be doing today. I was gonna like do it really early in the morning and then wait until later at night because it's just so hot right now, but I think I'm just gonna tackle straight up heat. We're just doing it, guys. So let's get started. So basically I don't actually need to take the wheel off to get to the end link, but the ground is so hot out here that I am just gonna jack up and take the wheel off, and that's gonna be easier access than just laying on the ground and burning my back. So the plan right now is to jack it up by the pinch weld, and with my low pro, my 1.5 ton jack, and then take the wheel off and then look in there, tighten it all up, and then compress the whole setup on that side with my 2.5 ton jack, just so I can see if it's touching anything or whatnot. That seems like the best approach. And then so what I'll do is end up tightening on both sides and then driving it and seeing how it sounds, and hopefully that does it, because I'm just not in the mood right now. I'm supposed to be doing a hydro, but we're dealing with this shit instead. Okay, so first impression, looking at my end link, it doesn't really look like it could hit much besides maybe this bracket right here for the brake line. I'm gonna check on the other side and see if there's some marks on it. Okay, so passenger side end link was only hand tight on the inner side of it, like maybe even that, so I tightened that up a lot. And even the outer side of it, more towards the rim, was a little loose. I definitely tightened that too. But there was this little holder for the brake lines, and that definitely left some scuff marks on the inner side towards the back side. And like housing part of it, so I think that could definitely be a clunk of it hitting it. So I just loosened that bracket a little bit and twisted it, so there should be no points of contact now. So I'm gonna tighten that back up and then do the other side and then drive it, and let's see what's up. Okay, so basically what happened was, I didn't record any of it because I'm Terrible, left my phone in the sun and overheated. Oh, it's hot. So when I took off the left side there, the end links were definitely loose, and there was a spot that looked like it might have been hitting the end links, so I definitely twisted that cuff off and moved it so that none of the components would be touching. It was like the brake line holder bracket on the coilover, so I twisted that and moved it a little bit so it shouldn't be touching at all. And then when I got to the left side, the end links were tight on both of them, and I was like, okay, and I was wiggling around, and then I looked at the bottom of the coilover and the nut was super loose, so like finger loose, and I was like, okay. So I guess that's what happens when you start a project 4 months ago and forget what you did and didn't do, and instead of being thorough and going back through and tightening it all at once like I should have done, I just was in a rush to get it done. So now I feel like I'm going back and like troubleshooting things that should have just been done in the first place. But so I just drove it, it sounded pretty good, definitely no knocks or clunking. I'm gonna try and go down the bumpiest road that we have and like give us a speed and neutral coast for a minute so that you guys can hear. Because before I was like, oh, you know, whatever, just coilovers make a lot of sound. And then once I got that comment on my video and I went back and drove it with like the windows up, and I don't drive it with the windows up because it's hot. So once I went back through and drove it with the windows up and no like anything at all in the radio, no nothing, it was really evident that there was a lot of sound coming from the front end, a lot of clunking, a lot of like hitting metal, and I was like, ugh. So I'm glad I got that comment and like went through and looked for sure and tightened all those things up, those components. So this street is really bumpy. So I'm gonna go down it and come back up it. So normally right now it would be like clunk, 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 clunk a million times, but sounds good. So I still do have, when I turn it left to right, it pops and a little bit, but I mean, it's got 140,000 miles on it, and I'm gonna have to go through and do all of the suspension anyway, so whatever that is gonna get figured out in the future. But so basically it's a lot more quiet right now. Hitting all the bumps. Pretty big one right here. Usually that's a really loud one right here. So, sounds good. I'm gonna go to the store and try and grab some lines for my hydro. And then I think I'm gonna start that later towards the night because it is just so hot right now. Like, okay, so basically what ended up happening was my phone went into that temperature mode thing because it was just overheating from being in the car, which is ridiculous, but whatever. So I ended up just literally tightening a bunch of stuff that should have been tightened in the first place, and that huge clunk is definitely gone. So I didn't end up having time to do the hydro because it was just so hot. But I mean, that should be fine. I don't think I necessarily need it for this event, but it'll definitely be in before the next event. So what will happen is my next video will be after the drift event, obviously. So I'm gonna try and get some good footage of that and stuff, and hopefully everything goes way better with the new setup. I don't have an alignment because I'm running like a crazy hot boy, but in between now and the next event, I want to get new tie rods, like everything, inner and outers. So I was like, I might as well just wait for an alignment. So it could be challenging or what, we'll see. But so the next time I post a video, it should be on Saturday night. I know I'm like terrible about doing this, but it should be on Saturday night after the event, and we'll see how it goes. So I'll catch you guys in my next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.